this is always the problem, or the part that I struggle with the most. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you will be a lot more creative than I am. But what I'm just going to go through with you is best practices. So it's one thing is about maybe sounding funny or quirky, whatever the case is, and there's also just about doing what is going to work as well as what Google rates you on. So I'm just going to go through those little tips for you. So the first thing that we've already put into place is that we utilize ad groups. So as I said, a lot of people, when I look at their campaigns, they only have one campaign, and in that campaign they have one ad group, and then within that there's like a lot of different types of keywords and services, and then they have this one ad that's very generic and doesn't really speak to the person's need. So just by setting up different ad groups, you're already one step ahead of the rest. So now we just got to create our ads. So this particular ad group of the ads, Google Ads Agency, and it gives me an idea of the keywords that are in that particular ad group. So as you can see, it's everything to speak about Google Ads over here. So what I want to do is I firstly want to make sure that I make sure those people land on the correct page of my website. Now, because I'm using a landing page, I only have one page. However, if you are utilizing your website, you would rather go and drop the person on, let's say, one of the service pages. You don't want to just drop them on the home page. Rather, take them to the most relevant page on your website. So you want to paste that in there. Now we want to start putting our headlines and our descriptions together. Now, the one thing over here that we notice quite often is that people don't use all of the space or the real estate, we call it, that's allowed to them. So in other words, they'll only put in maybe one headline, and then the ad looks super small. What we want to do is we want to make sure we utilize as much of the descriptions and headlines as possible, so our ad looks a lot bigger than everybody else's. So let's maybe just look at the example we had earlier. So if you look here, we've got our headline, our description. We've even got some what they call extensions over here. So the ad looks nice and big. This one as well, it looks good. It's got lots of different headlines over here. It's got all its descriptions in place. It's got its extensions. But now if we go a bit down, this one over here is not really utilizing much space. Now if you take a look at these, which ones actually stand out for you? And it would definitely be these two, just because they're a lot bigger, easier to read, so they stand out. So what we recommend is in your headline, you want to put in whatever the actual service is that you're offering. So in this particular one, we speak about Google Ads Agency. So we want to make sure that we look relevant to whatever the person has typed in. So choose your keywords that you've put into place. You can just they're all fairly similar to each other, so either way it will stand out. So we go here, Google Ads Agency, and now we can maybe just start typing in something else. So over here you can decide whether you want to start each letter with a capital, or if you want to use sentence case. All I ask of you is that you just keep consistent. So don't want one headline is all capitals as their first letter, and the second one you don't allow it. Then Google itself, you're not allowed to write everything in capitals, so we can't do that. They will essentially just disapprove your ad. We also can't use things such as free, 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 or exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. All of those are disallowed by Google, and your ad won't show. So let's keep it real. So Google Ads Agency in Cape Town. The second headline, I would look at something that helps you stand out from your competitors. So we could look at something like official Google Ads partner. So this is something that we are at Metis, and immediately it can just help us add some credibility on who we are and what certifications we have. Again, you'll notice initially when I put that in, I had a spelling mistake. Please be very careful that at the end of the day, this is your first impression. For your headline 3, I mean, this is really up to you, but I like to put in maybe a call to action over here already. unless I have more I would like to say in regards to credibility, or maybe what I needed to say in the one headline was quite difficult, so I needed to go into another headline. But over here, I might put something like, let's see, contact us today. Or maybe I want to ask a question. Do you need more leads? Okay. So Google Ads agency, official Google Ad, do you need more leads? So the nice thing with questions is what we found is that the people almost like answer it to themselves. So they'll be like, oh, yes, I do. And continue to read further. The next part is this, what they call the display path. Now, the display path is this green part over here, and it will always pull in your main domain, and then you can add a path after it. So let's just quickly put in something so it just makes a little bit more sense. So I add in a path, and this particular URL doesn't actually exist. As you can see, if I look at my URL, that is my entire URL. This just helps, again, give your user a little bit more clarity on what they can expect to read about on the page. So we want to show that we are relevant to whatever keywords they've typed in. That's why, again, I've actually repeated my keywords in this path over here. Lastly, we would look at our description, and as I said, I'm not the most creative writer, but I think as long as we are clear about what our offering is, and if you haven't put the call to action in your headline, I would definitely put it in your description. So let me try my best here. So description is, okay, we specialize. Again, let's just make sure we are consistent with our capitals in small budgets, and get okay, so sorry, not the most creative, but I'll try my best here. And then I'm going to put in a call to action over here. So maybe a little bit cheesy. I'm going to end off with an exclamation mark, but you can't have multiple exclamation marks in your text. I've actually already used a question mark, so that potentially will be disapproved. So I'm rather going to take it out and rather just use a good old full stop. So there we go. I now have my ad in place, and I'll be essentially going through and now creating my next one. Now, what we recommend is that you have 3 ads per ad group. I'm not going to go through all of that now, but that is best practice. And the reason for this is then Google can rotate those ads and will start to actually understand which of your ads do the best, and will start showing those ads more and more. You would then go in, let's say once a month, go take a look at the results and decide to replace the ads that are doing the worst. It doesn't mean that your ads have to be super different. So for example, it's actually already started to put some of the information in it for me, and it's put in the headline, it's put in the description. But what Google is prompting me is to have a different headline and to have a different second description here. So now I'll be like, okay, that one I spoke about official Google partner, but this one I'm going to have maybe my call to action in the headline. So I'm going to say, speak to a Google expert now. So now I've suddenly gone a different version, and then Google can essentially play around with those and decide which ones will do the best. Okay, so you would then go through the same process for all the ad groups that you're going for, and this is probably where you're going to spend the most time, but it is very, very important that you have highly relevant ads to your clients' keywords. Not only does that give them a better experience, but Google rewards you for giving them a better experience. And this is done through actually paying lower cost per click. So it is worth your time, as you will save money. So I'm just going to skip this for now. You can always do it at a later date. And Google's now going to take me to the billing section.